Ageism is incorrect.
I checked my wedding certificate and there was no expiry date on mine, so that's why I felt quite confident.
Humor can build bridges and it can also destroy bridges. So we've got to be careful that we're lifting people up with the humor and not putting them down.
Welcome to Elder Wisdom, Stories from the Green Bench. I'm Erin Davis, and along with my co-host, Lloyd Hetherington, it's a real pleasure to share with you our conversations with some fascinating people. The actual Green Bench began at Schlegel Village's retirement and long-term care residences as a place to have conversations, to listen and be heard. And we've turned the real bench into these podcasts where you meet residents, some of the Schlegel family, and their extended family of care workers, and so many more wonderful guests. By now, you know my co-host Lloyd, who's 86 and is a resident as well as a retired educator and missionary, a dad, grandfather, and widower. And he and I are tickled to treat you to just about the most entertaining couple we've met so far in these 18 podcast episodes. Patricia and Dennis Bayley live, and laugh in the village of Taunton Mills. Lloyd, I love that we're talking about the pursuit of passions and/or hobbies. What's your hobby and what is your passion? Let's start with your hobby.
My hobby is words. I enjoy working with words. Give me a good pun any day and I would love it. Give me a game of Scrabble and I enjoy it immensely. Turn me loose on my computer and I'll dash off a paragraph here and there, and I just delight in words, and more words. My passion, on the other hand, is people. I've worked with people all my life. I've worked with them in down-and-out situations where they've literally been in the most desperate of straits. And I've worked with people when they've had their moments of celebration and joy. And I find that during this time of the pandemic, this is one of the biggest challenges I face, being cut off from some of the people that I love and enjoy being with and working with.
Well, isn't it wonderful that we get a chance to do this and to meet people like Patricia and Dennis at the Village of Taunton Mills?
Oh, indeed it is.
And if you like a pun, well, let me just tell you that Dennis, of course, is a scientist who won awards for his work with polymers. So you know that he and Patricia, after 60-plus years of marriage, definitely have chemistry. Oh. Don't give me a mercy laugh. That's okay. I can take it. Oh. Welcome to Elder Wisdom to both of you. And what we love about you is your passion and your art in poetry, Patricia, and Dennis, the way that you've made a difference to the world. You are contributing through your talents and passion. And so let's start with Patricia and your poetry. When did you begin writing?
As long as I could print, I think I've written something, usually in a journal. But as I grew older and got over the fact that my school report said weak in English, I wrote more, mainly prose at first, short stories and small items. And then I started working in poetry. I found it was good for my brain, really, to stretch it a bit, and I've continued writing ever since.
And we're going to hear, hopefully, some of your work a little bit later on. But Lloyd, too, has expanded on his talent in writing. And I don't know if you know this, Patricia and Dennis, but our Lloyd is a published author in one of the Reader's Digests this year, aren't you, Lloyd?
That's right. During the time of pandemic, I had lots and lots of time to think and to write. And so I looked at the publication Our Canada, put up a Reader's Digest. I thought, I could write an article like that. So I dashed off one, sent it off to the Reader's Digest, and much to my surprise, they accepted the article, published it in the January issue of Our Canada, and so I can say I am published in a national publication. But I've done other writing as well. During the pandemic, I'd write articles for my grandchildren and my children, And for my 86th birthday, they compiled them into a book. And so I have a book published now as well. Mind you, I was surprised when I was writing those articles, my audience was very limited, but they thought they were worthy of circulating. And so there it is, not the most scholarly piece of work, but it's out there in circulation anyway.
It's all about connection, especially now more than ever. Dennis, tell us how you stay connected through your work, through your passions, through your hobbies. What do you like to do?
Well, first of all, I'd like to comment. Patricia said she was not very good at English at school, and I was absolutely hopeless at chemistry at school. And so those became our careers. I was absolutely terrible at chemistry because the way it's taught is that we learn everything about what has already been done in chemistry, but not what is required to be done. And it was only when I got into research laboratories and was able to research new ventures that I was able to take an interest in it and really like it.
So your message then from you and Patricia is don't listen to the critics, whether they're people marking your papers or, anyone who has anything to say that you can't do something.
Well, I think that is it. If someone says we can't do something, then that's when we start doing it. And as far as my hobbies are concerned, they're mainly on the creative side, in that I, for a long time, have been doing soapstone carving, and I ended up teaching soapstone carving after I retired.
Wow.
And we both are really enjoying painting, and the programs we have at the Village of Taunton Mills help in that direction. And during the pandemic, I had a little challenge because I decided to see if I could paint or draw left-handed. Because when I went to school, I was corrected. I used to use my left hand, but every time I used it at school, someone would hit me on the hand with a ruler. And so I became right-handed, and for well over 80 years, I've been right-handed. And I decided to see if I could draw left-handed. And after 14 attempts at left-handed drawing, I can now draw left-handed better than I can draw right-handed.
And intriguingly, when you were conducting this own experiment on yourself, you got in touch with a leading university expert. Tell us about that, Dennis.
Well, I got in touch with the Penn State expert, Dr. Porak, who is a world authority on left-handedness and right-handedness, and she was very interested in the rapidity in which I've been able to convert back to left-handedness, and so the Penn State University issued a blog outlining what I had done, and that was circulated worldwide.
I remember letters from my grandmother, and as she aged, her penmanship sort of declined into an almost spidery sort of a writing. Has yours actually improved, or what's going on there?
Patricia can't even read my writing. I think I would have been a doctor. So perhaps when I've had a bit of practice writing left-handed, she'll be able to read what on earth I'm jotting down on bits of paper.
Well, as long as we can read and understand what Patricia has been writing, because I'd like to turn it over to Lloyd to usher us into the Poet's Corner for now.
I envy anyone with poetic skills. I've tried writing a bit of doggerel once in a while, but my iambic pentameter just doesn't seem to work the way it should. So I have a dream that someday I'll put some words on paper that will rhyme and literally sing from the heart. But Patricia, you've just discovered a skill that resonates with you, and I'd like you to tell us a bit about your writing.
Well, it's as someone very wise once said, it's mainly begins with inspiration and ends with perspiration. I enjoy it, though. I find using words that really most of them I find in my poetry are about the grade 3-4 level. But I do enjoy putting words together, and I like the old system of writing poetry that has some rhyming. It's a discipline. Some of the modern poems I find seem to go off at a tangent and never come back to the point. And I do enjoy composing something that goes from beginning to end with some sort of a theme that you can relate to, especially during these times when we're all feeling somewhat fearful and isolated. So if you like, I'll read you a couple of them.
We would love that.
I love that, yeah. Yeah, go for it.
Well, this one is called Life Cycle. I didn't intend to do it. I almost got washed out with the tide the day I fell into the washer and really thought that I'd died. I didn't hear anyone singing, at least no one's voice that I knew. It was ever so speedy and swooshy, as if I'd got cold or the flu. I spun with the nightie and pyjamas, the towels all yellow and blue. To keep up my spirits I whistled a gurgly ditty or two. It came to an end after spinning, and I got all dried up. Oh, but then the rinse cycle started up screaming and spinning all over again. Quite dazzled and put out with the action, I started to feel really stressed, especially because I was wearing by now 2 shirts, fancy pants and a vest. It's nothing to laugh at, I tell you. No holiday choice for a girl. By the time I came out, I was white as a sheet and looked like a wrinkly old pearl.
Lovely.
Is wonderful.
What a delight.
Congratulations. That's the first time I've ever heard gurgly ditty in a poem or anywhere else. So take that. That's wonderful, Patricia.
Thank you very much. Would you like to hear another one on a more serious note?
Oh, yes,
yes,
definitely.
yes.
And while we cleanse our palates from the laughter of your trip into the washing machine, I must ask you, I hope that's not based on a true story.
No, not hardly.
Well, you certainly are bubbly enough, let us say that. And I like to picture, perhaps, Lloyd, and you do too, that Dennis is sitting there quietly carving his soapstone, and Patricia has her steno pad in hand and a pen, and she's looking out the window and trying to come up with just the right words to rhyme stressed with vest. And it's just marvelous. Thank you for that. All right. Do go on.
Well, I have one here called Hope, which might be applicable at this time for some people.
Yes, please.
Hope, a beacon in the dark, a wisp of breath, a longing dream, a cry for help, courageous plea. The unknown begged, look speedily and see up close all that we need. The world is wounded. Stop the bleed. We look undaunted to the light, maintain our vision, do what's right. Gently, steadfastly, hold its rays, unfalteringly, calmly, mend our ways. Keep the light our guide and stay, to lift our spirits every day. Hope floats in air, to slowly rise, anticipation of surprise, change will come to bless our eyes.
That is beautiful.
That is precious.
It is.
We need hope in this day and age. We so desperately need it with all of the gloom and all of the negative reports. We've got to hope for a better tomorrow.
Yes, indeed.
How did your poem about COVID and frontline workers and holding on come to be the final story in CTV News' Lisa LaFlamme's national newscast?
Well, I wrote it, and I always submit them to the recreation team here to see if they like them. If they do, and they usually seem to, thank heaven, they go into the Chronicle, which is circulated once a month here. And I believe it was sent through to the office, and the general manager, I believe, has a contact through her husband with the TV station, and I believe it was submitted to Lisa LaFlamme, and it seemed to fit the bill. So to my amazement, someone called and said it's going to be on at 10 o'clock on the news. And then it was going to be on at another time. In the end, Dennis and I gave up and went to bed. And we did. And then I think we were sleeping, and then the phone rang and woke us up, and our neighbour upstairs said, "You're on television." Guess what? So it was rather a nice experience, I must say.
Isn't she sweet? Can you believe it? Well, don't you snooze and lose. Be sure and go to elderwisdom.ca and the Wisdom Bank page, and you'll see that beautiful piece of Patricia's poem on CTV News that was produced at Schlegel Villages. That's elderwisdom.ca. Now back to our chat. Dennis, we know that you kind of get the first pass on her work. Is that true, like before it goes into the publication? Tell us about that.
She gives me a copy of her poem, and it probably runs to about 27 pages. Not exactly. No. She lets me read the first draft. And I read it, and I say, what a wonderful start. It's absolutely great, but lines 7 to 13 are absolute garbage. They've got nothing whatsoever to throw them out. Put those into another poem. They're all right, but they've got nothing to do. So and then I'd say, but I like the ending, and I like the title. It all looks good except that middle chunk. So either leave it out or replace it. And so she says, no, that's my favourite bit.
I usually say, yes, dear.
You don't say yes, dear. Yes, it's okay. Perhaps she says, yes, dear, but that's my favourite bit. I don't like the beginning. So she retires to the corner to write some more poem. And she comes back and says, I've got it. And it's an absolute different poem. Nothing to do with the first one. So then she said, Nicole needs it on Tuesday for the Chronicle. What are we going to do? And so she then goes into a corner and has another go. And finally, it just emerges. It's like an imperfect chrysalis which comes out to be a wonderful butterfly.
You see what I said about perspiration? It's not only the writing of the poem, it's holding on to your breath while you think, rhubarb, 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 I'll go back and have another bash at it.
Oh, you've done a lot of travel in your lives together, and I'd love to talk about that. I don't think that Dennis would have made the diplomatic corps. But...
Oh, I would. I certainly would. Oh, yes. That is my forte.
Definitely. So why don't you just pull out your passports, folks, and take us on a little trip through some of your travels?
Well, the first time we went abroad was on a trip to Italy, and it was a very, very inexpensive trip. And it was the first time we'd been abroad. We were wartime babies, and we got married, and we hadn't got much money, and then we saved up and went to a 12-day trip to Italy for I think it was about £14 or something like this. Oh. So we got on the boat, we went on, caught the bus on the other side of the channel, and we went into Holland for the night, and we crossed Holland off the list after about 7 or 8 hours, and we went the next day to Belgium, and then we went to France, and then we went to Switzerland. And we thought, well, when are we going to get to Italy? And then we went a little bit into Austria again, and then back into Switzerland, and then finally we got to Italy. And we went all over Italy for this £28, and then had to come all the way back, which we did, all on a bus, and we managed that vacation, when we still have got some wonderful memories of that, like how strict the courier was. You're cracking her whip and saying, you will have 5 minutes in Rome. And we would scurry off the bus, and we'd see whatever they parked the bus for us to have a look at, and then we would wait for a very elderly couple. They were probably 40. and they came staggering down the road at length with beautiful ice creams, and we hadn't had a time to buy an ice cream. And they'd come and they'd get yelled at by the woman. She'd say, I'm going to leave you next time if you do this again, you, etc., etc. And they did it all the way around the trip because they'd obviously been on a trip before and we hadn't. And since then we've been all over the place, and we actually spent several months working in Thailand, which took place in 1995.
And you went to teach chemistry. Patricia ended up teaching there too. So share your perspective on it. That'd be wonderful.
Well, first of all, it was a CESO project, which is Canadian Executive Services Overseas Volunteer Project. And we don't get paid for it. They ship us out with airfare and hotel paid for. And it started off very interestingly because we didn't know where we were going to stay and we were running out of time. We were about to fly to Thailand in about 3 days and we still hadn't got a forwarding address. We didn't know which hotel we were going to stay at. So I phoned the associate consul who was making a lot of arrangements for us in Ontario, and I spoke to their associate consul, and he said, I'm sorry you didn't get the detail, but you're going to the Collins House, and it's the most wonderful place in Asia. He said, you will love it. He said, it's got the largest dormitory in Asia. He said, and the ladies sleep on one side, and the men sleep on the other side of the bedroom. He said, and they have a big, big curtain between the two. He said, it's absolutely great. He said, and the food isn't so hot, though. He said, you have pretty well the same meal every day. And then there was a big pause from me, and I thought, what on earth are we going to be doing? And he said, of course I'm joking. He said, Collins House is the YMCA. So we ended up staying at the YMCA in Bangkok, which turned out to be a teaching hotel for people that were getting their first job. They were coming out of the Northern Territories, straight out of the jungle to a job. And so the staff was being trained to go into careers in the hospitality business. So that started the trip. And on the first day of my venture there, I ordered breakfast. And I ordered something fairly simple. I ordered a cereal and an orange juice and a cup of coffee. And I waited for a considerable time, and eventually a big piece of steaming hot fish, spicy fish arrived, and various other things that I didn't recognize. And I explained that that wasn't my meal, so they took it away and they brought some other stuff. And then after about 4 ventures, I realized that the waiter didn't understand English, and I was ordering my food and he hadn't a clue what I was ordering, although the menu was bilingual. And so I'll hand over to Patricia, because I got the news when I got back from my first day that she was teaching the hotel staff English. And so she had an assignment to teach the waiter and the maître d' right off the bat.
Once they had heard that I had English qualifications and heard my voice on the phone before we left Canada, they said, you will speak English to our managerial staff Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and do a lecture every other Friday to somebody else. So my immediate reaction was, well, we'll see about it. But I was very aware of my limitations as an add-on, because I was allowed to go because of the length of time of the project. So I hadn't expected to do anything much except, just rest a bit, which was quite the wrong thing that happened. So I did teach in the afternoons for 2 weeks the restaurant staff. So I started in with teaching them, please show me on the menu, which seemed to go over very well, because a couple of tourists, I heard them saying, can you show me the way to the Royal Palace? And then we want to go by tuk-tuk to somewhere else. And they were going on at length. And the answer came back, please show me on the menu. So I guess one phrase had worked, which was quite a good thing, really.
Yes.
And on a similar vein, Patricia was teaching them various English idioms, And I was giving them notes and all sorts of information which they would put in their desk and forget. And they wouldn't even remember they'd had it. And so I suggested she taught them out of sight, out of mind. And she wrote that on the board, and I wanted to reinforce that message. They put it away and they forget about it. And she said, "Can anyone tell me what that means?" And the Vice President, Prazit, he stood up and he said, "Yes, I know that. Out of sight, out of mind means invisible idiot."
The one thing that I was concerned about for a while we were there was the fact that they called Dennis uncle and they called me elephant.
Rude.
And I found out later that that's because, at least that was the explanation they gave me afterwards, was because they venerate the elephant as an animal who is also a vehicle and considered very worthy. So with that, I made myself contented.
Patricia, what a delight to hear your stories. What a difference between that package tour to Rome and actually getting into the culture of Thailand. You really learned what it was all about. You learned to appreciate what they had and appreciate what you have as well that makes your life so much more interesting.
Oh, we had many adventures there.
And I can't resist a punt for Lloyd, because one of my hobbies is collecting very early British and Canadian postage stamps and studying Canadian postage history. And,
right.
And I'm sure that he's itching to tell me that philately will get me nowhere.
Stamp that one out.
I could see that one coming. I honestly could. Oh, my goodness. We could talk about your travels for ages and, including Antarctica, South America, Brazil. But back at home, Dennis, you spearheaded an exchange program with First Nation students. Can we talk about that a little bit, the impact that you had on Canadian soil and in the internet as well?
Okay, well, there are two aspects of that. One which is ongoing at the Village of Taunton Mills, but the first experience I had with this project was as literacy chair for the District 7070 Rotary Clubs, which 52 Rotary Clubs, and I organised their literacy programmes. Where they had got them, and not many clubs were interested in literacy, and even fewer were interested in First Nations projects, and I got involved in 2 or 3 which put both together. And the first one was an interest from the Durham Regional School Board, who were interested in twinning with First Nations remote communities and talking with these groups via Skype and learning more about the First Nations culture and history and folklore and their language as well. And these were grade 8 kids, grade 7 or grade 8 in the Durham school system. And we paired them off 5 schools with 5 schools in the north. And first of all, there'd been a few classes for the Durham school children to learn as much as they could about the First Nations before they had this exchange. And then the people from up north said, we would like to study the same courses that they're learning down here, because a lot of our culture disappeared due to residential schooling, and several generations were lost. And the people down here had got books on the subject that they had not got up there. And so for the first few weeks, the exchange was with just one curriculum, and that was the First Nations culture. And then they started Skyping each other, and the kids getting to know each other and talking about how they spent their weekend, where the people up north would say, oh, we had a great time, we've just been snaring rabbits and trapping muskrats, and that was a little bit different to the kids down here who'd gone to the shopping mall and cruised around. And so that exchange got some very, very valuable contacts for me. And now that I'm at the Village of Taunton Mills, for 2 or 3 years before I came, really, they had a program initiated by Irene Chouette, one of our residents, to involve all of the seniors here in knitting and doing all sorts, to provide warm garments for the First Nations, and to have fundraisers to buy backpacks and school supplies and hygiene products, and package them all off, and then team up with a school in the First Nations communities, in these remote far north communities, and send a package to every kid in the school of these wonderful goods for Christmas.
Oh, the power of connection and just reaching out, and you never know who's going to answer a request or a prayer. And, you know, as I've said, we could talk to you forever. But I wanted to ask you as we wrap up, and this is going to be a bit like the newlywed game for people who have been married for over 60 years. But Patricia, you're going to answer this first. I'm giving you an airline ticket anywhere in the world. You are an elder of 40 years old, like the people in Rome on the bus, and you can go anywhere tomorrow. Where are you going?
England.
Okay. Dennis? You don't have to go with her. This is a separate game show.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with her to England to carry the bags.
Oh, my goodness.
And I think if I could go anywhere, I would like to go back to Italy.
Yeah, well...
There's lots that we haven't seen in this world, but there's lots that are worth repeating. Patricia wants to go to India.
But I won't be going because Dennis doesn't eat other than meat and potatoes.
I don't eat vegetables, for a start. I don't believe that vegetables should be put on this earth, so I don't eat them.
Oh, okay. Hang on, Dennis. How old are you?
I'm just coming up to 86.
Well, you're okay. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. That's all I can say. I'm not a dietitian, but it seems to work for you.
And I've been sending out a little cartoon. Well, actually, it's a photograph of a pathetic little child who's just about to burst into tears, and he's got his hands in front of him in prayer formation there, and he's saying, "Oh Lord, please don't make Brussels sprouts the cure for COVID."
Oh, goodness. Well, just a word of wisdom to you, Dennis, that cocoa is a bean, therefore chocolate is salad. It's just, it all makes sense.
Actually, I do make a few exceptions because people tell me that vegetables are wonderful, and chocolate is one of my concessions.
I'm just supporting Dennis 100%. Chocolate is just a marvelous food. No mercury poison in it, no insecticides or sprays in it, just none of the problems you hear from the other food groups. Just go for chocolate any time.
My favourite is an egg because it comes with its own packaging.
And some of the vegetable grains are worth tackling, especially after they've been distilled.
And don't forget your fruit in the wine, right?
That's right.
Oh, my goodness. I actually think Patricia was talking about real eggs, guys, and not chocolate eggs. I mean, how did she get in the conversation?
The way I usually do when Dennis is on a roll.
Well, on that egg roll, we shall reluctantly say goodbye to you for now. But, thank you so much for sharing your passion, your spirit, your humor, your wonderful memories. What a treat this has been.
Thank you very much. It's very pleasant.
So you mean we've been doing it already? I thought we were starting now.
Yeah, this is just the warm-up. Wait till we get rolling.
That's right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. And thank you, Nicole.
Nicole. And yes, thank you to all of the Schlegel Care team who have made these podcasts possible. It's quite a production behind the scenes, and this one was just the most fun. I told you, didn't I? Join Lloyd Hetherington and me as we sit down next time with Kathy Kleinow. She's working on her second book of interviews with her fellow residents at one of the Schlegel Village's retirement and long-term care residences. She's bringing her community together through storytelling, exactly what we're doing here every 2 weeks. And to make sure you don't miss an episode, just go to elderwisdom.ca and find the link for our Green Bench podcasts. And we'll let you know as soon as the next one's up. And while you're at the website, be sure and take the Elder Wisdom Pledge. I'm Erin Davis. On behalf of Lloyd and all of us, thank you for your time, and remember, your seat on the green bench is ready and waiting.
Elder Wisdom, Stories from the Green Bench, is brought to you by Schlegel Villages, a complete continuum of care, offering independent living to long-term care, celebrating and honoring the wisdom of the elder. To learn more about us, please go to our website, schlegelvillages.com.